Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that has been something that I think about constantly. It's a real life story. Of course, I'm going to protect the identities of these people and not say real names, but these are true stories. And they keep me up at night and I just want to share them because I really truly believe that someone out there could hopefully benefit from knowing these real things that occurred in life through people that I know, friends of even my parents. It's just a never-ending cycle that happens, I'm sure, hundreds, thousands of years. Basically, in short, it's people trying to look rich without any money, and that will bring them to a much harder life than they could have had, possibly eventual downfall. Because they weren't saving for a rainy day. They weren't thinking about what the future would look like pretty much when good things stop happening or momentary things that they thought would last forever, fancy things, come to a stop. And the story of how really hard work and not caring so much about what other people think, not trying to make all your money just to impress people that you don't even know, how far that really takes you in life, and what a big difference that makes. So, I wanna bring up this book, which, funny enough, I did not actually complete reading The Psychology of Money. This is a huge book for anybody that is interested in finance. I do recommend it. But why I will eventually read it and why I know a lot about this author is because I've watched many, many interviews and podcasts, hours with Morgan Housel. So I hope I'm saying his name right. Morgan Housel? Housel. House with an L at the end. The number one thing I like to think that he would probably want to let people know, if he only had, like, a couple minutes with a person, is that nobody cares. Nobody cares about what you have, and nobody thinks about you as much as you think about other people thinking about you. And I think that once I heard that, I was like, "Okay, first off, this person is highly intelligent," and just how important that truly is, and it really makes you look within yourself, at least, like, even for myself, I think about that and how much of my life, even through childhood, that dictated, like, everything I did because I just cared way too much, honestly, about what my friends thought of me, what a random, like what is going on with my hair? What a random stranger, like, on the street would think of me if I was buying, like, food, what, um, like, somebody thought like, even the cashier would think of, like, the way I talk, the way I dress, like, I think it's a very human thing to do just to be curious of what other people are thinking, but then I think it gets to a point where it could become very exhausting, and that is definitely one of the reasons why some people have high anxiety and they don't like to go out, don't like to interact with others because you're constantly thinking about, like, what is somebody thinking about you? Um, but yeah, let's get into it with the story of the title over here, as you can see, from dishwasher to homeowner, and I'm comparing it to somebody else that I know. So the dishwasher is somebody that I know who is very, very hardworking, and he worked at a restaurant, I believe, late 20s to beginning, like, early 30s for about 20 something years, okay? This man worked for over 20 something years, probably more than 25 years, at a restaurant day and night, washing dishes. That he really didn't have much other choice. He was an immigrant in a new country, couldn't really speak the language, and that's mostly what he did for over 20 something years. He never bought really fancy, expensive things, no luxury items, no fancy BMW, Mercedes car, or anything like that. Not that he couldn't afford it. He saved up a lot of money, but he refused to buy those things and just kept saving cash until eventually, also with a bit of luck, housing prices were affordable back in early, like, 2010 era, and he was able to buy a place. Luckily, the housing prices shot up like crazy the years afterwards. But the key here is after 20 something years, he saved up enough money to buy a place and was able to retire early and lived off of his savings and investments basically for life. Like this person did not have to work ever again after working super hard and retiring way before 60. So like early 50s. And this is a crazy contrast to the many, many, many people that I know in LA and other parts of the world that may look rich. They may be driving a Porsche, they may be driving a really fancy car, and they have like no money, no money in the bank. But this happens all the time. And it gets crazy to the point where I'm not even making this up. There are people that I know that work for basically, we'll just give an example, like McDonald's. Work for McDonald's. They don't actually work at McDonald's, but just give me an example here. They'll like work at McDonald's as a cashier, maybe for like, I don't know how much they're paying, under $20 an hour. Um, but they're wearing and sporting real designer bags. Okay. Keyword here. Real designer bags that are worth $5,000 a bag, $10,000 a bag. Also expensive jewelry that most people, even with a $200,000 salary, cannot or would not choose to buy. Okay. So they're wearing all these fancy things, have the nice shoes, the nice bags, no house, continuously paying rent throughout their lives, partying it up. And when they are at that same age or older compared to the gentleman I was talking about that worked as a dishwasher, they have nothing. They have no savings, no security blanket. If something were to go very, very wrong, they don't have that extra cushion money, right? There's a saying where you're supposed to have at least, I think I read on like a news article that you should have at least 1,000, 10,000 preferably, but of like just emergency money if something were to go wrong. But most people don't even have $1,000 in the bank, like ready as cash, just ready to go should something go wrong. But to be honest, in this economy with the inflation in 2025, even if you saved up $1,000, which I believe the numbers were less, like definitely 50% of Americans do not have at least like $1,000 was the last time I saw an article. Again, do your own DD. I don't know the current statistics, but it's a big amount of people because right now in America, there's over 300 million, I believe. And that's what, more than 150 million people. They don't have $1,000. And I'm talking 1,000 cash after you deduct whatever is owed on your credit card. Okay. It's just $1,000 sitting there in cash, ready to be used. And to be honest, that's not even enough because usually people say you need at least like what, 3 months? 3 months, preferably 6 months of your salary. And let's say you make $3,000 a month to get by, which if you have less than that in LA, it's honestly very hard if you don't own a house because how are you going to pay rent? So let's just say it's $3,000 per month, which is already hard to survive on in LA. You got $3,000 a month. 1 month, you would already need 3,000, but usually the saying goes, you need, like, 3 months prepared for, like, an emergency or you lose your job. So most people don't have that. Yet, especially in a city like LA, you'll see people, I mean, everybody does this, not just in LA. So many people wearing designer clothes, showing off the fact that they're going to really fancy places to eat, and that's not hard to do, to be honest, um, especially girls. There's a lot of girls that go on dates and they can maybe get a fancy meal, not paid for by themselves, but maybe with whoever they're on a date with, and then you post that on social media, which I see happen a lot. It's very common, and it's just this thing, I guess, that most of society does, and I guess so many people do it to the point where it's almost normalized. Like, we all see what each other posts about, and most people just post about how great their lives are. Like, all the nice places that they're going to, nice vacations, or going to Coachella, even though apparently it was reported that a lot of people put Coachella tickets through credit. So they can't actually afford the tickets, but they swiped their credit card. Don't even get me started on that company Klarna, apparently, which the joke is that they loaned out money for people to, I don't know, buy the burritos. And if you need to finance a burrito, I don't know if I wanna really lend you money, but whatever. Apparently, millions of dollars not coming back, or so far, people haven't paid back. And it's just a really crazy thing to me, but this happens all the time where everybody wants to look rich. It's like everybody wants to look like they have millions of dollars, and especially, I think there's, like, this unspoken thing where everyone also wants to be their own boss. Like, everyone wants to say they're an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to look very successful. I can't tell you the amount of people that I have met in LA. Like, also, especially during my long, long time ago dating phase, before I met my SO, there were so many men that would tell me they're, like, CEO of this company, or a founder of this company, and I can't even search up the company. Like, they won't give any more deets because it's probably a lie, and that wasn't even during just, like, a dating phase. That okay, like, okay, there's just people lying about what they do for a living because they wanna look better to the opposite sex or whatever. It wasn't even during that, it's happening all the time. There are so many people that either are fully unemployed, that they say they are employed, or say that they, and also because it's funny because we are living in a world where there's just so much, I guess, you can't really, it's not easy to prove, right? So, for example, for those of you guys that have been following my channel, or my main channel, Living with Lucy, if you haven't already followed, please find it, link down below. I am open about the fact that I have been trading stocks and crypto for, like, since really 2019, and I got very serious with it in, like, 2021. But that's many years of my life, like, trading, but I don't say, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm, like, making millions of dollars trading," because that's just not the truth, but I do trade as a form of making extra income. But do you see how a lot of people can technically say exactly what I'm saying, and say that that is a job, a career that they're doing, and there's really no way for you to, if you meet someone like that and they're like, "Oh, I'm a day trader," or whatever. Is there really a way for you to pinpoint them and be like, "Oh, okay, this person actually makes money or they don't make money?" It's very hard. It's very hard. So, and also especially with crypto, it's like, how are you, no one's gonna show you their wallet. So, literally, I could go walking around, I don't, but I could go walking around saying like, "Oh, yeah, I I bought Bitcoin when I was in high school, and now I have millions of dollars." Like, I could say that, and trust me, there are people who make that up and say these things. Um, but yeah, it's also just, like, I guess the way that the world's changed, because 'cause I'm sure, like, back in the early 1950s or 60s, you couldn't just go around saying anything like that. People would be like, "Okay, where do you work? Okay, what's the address of the place that you work?" So, we're just in this, I guess, easy to easy to lie type of world that we live in. And on top of that, social media, people already say, is complete BS. I don't I don't think social media is all BS, because I do see people that are telling the truth online, and they have either the funds to show for or the receipts. And then, but at the same time, I'm not even talking about influencers, by the way, or people who, post on social media all the time publicly like I do. I'm just talking about, like, normal people who don't care to be an influencer or post publicly. They still often, most people I know still have Instagram accounts, um, and they post about whatever's happening in their lives. You know, if they graduate or get married or have a baby. Most of those things are are real, but then also very, very fabricated in the sense where you're only everybody's cherry picking just the best parts. No one's gonna talk about all the bad things. It's like a couple that talks about how much they love each other, and then when they break up, everyone's like, "Okay, well, what happened?" Because you're not most people aren't gonna post about being cheated on or talk about how they cheated on someone, and that's why they broke up, and all the bad things. So we're always just constantly like, we live in this world of everyone just showing off to each other, and that's kinda become the norm, and no one's gonna really, like because it's, like, not normal, right? Like, nobody goes on Instagram and posts a little square about how much they're going through it after being cheated on. I mean, some people do, but most people don't do that. So, there's that. But it often just keeps me up at night thinking about how like, I wonder if the people that are wearing most of their money, which is basically, like, buying all the designer stuff and I'm not saying you're a bad person or that's, like, such a terrible decision to buy designer stuff because I do. I like designer stuff too, and I buy it. But there is a problem, at least I've seen it happen, and this did not end well for people who gets much older, is when people put most of their hard-earned money or whatever inheritance, wherever they or whether they are a sugar baby and gets money from their sugar daddy or whatever. There's just so many people that I've met in my past and as of current that takes their money and just puts it into these depreciating assets, like some designer bags, let's rewind. Some designer bags do go up in value, right? Like, I don't have an Hermes bag, but apparently those have been going up in value in, like, the last, I don't know, 20 something years. But not when you wear certain things or, like, if you have a really nice, expensive Chanel jacket, right? And then it could possibly get ruined or lost. And the resale value is just not that great on it, along with, like, Tiffany, Cartier jewelry. So although some things, if you keep it in mint condition, like a Charizard card from, like, 20 years ago, mint condition, like PSA 10, yeah, those are worth a lot. But most people are buying, like, these designer things because they wanna show off and they're gonna wear it often. So let's be real, that's not really worth a lot of money, right? So there's just so many people, I feel like, that are trying so hard to spend all of their money and leave no money insurance in their banks for themselves, for their livelihoods, just to, like, what? Like, add to your Instagram stories and show off to a bunch of people that not only I think that the funniest thing is not only do people, according to Morgan Housel, not care about the things that you have, like, they don't care about you having the things you have. Like, one really great point that he brings up that I love is I think he realized when he saw a guy, like, I think he worked, either as, like, I wanna say, like, worked at a hotel or maybe he was just at a hotel at one point in his life, but he said that there was a guy who would, like, drove up in either, I don't know, a Ferrari or a Lambo, and he looked at the guy and realized he he's he wants what that guy has, but he doesn't actually want to be him. Like, he doesn't wanna be that guy, like, how he looks like, literally swap lives with him. He just, like, wanted really, like, the Lambo. So, like, your item is really the only thing that people might look at and be like, "Oh, I want that." But it doesn't mean they actually want to be you, and yet, I think a lot of people have this false belief where it's like, "Oh, if I have this item, I'm so much better. and all these people are gonna wanna be me or be like me. But that's just not the truth, and, like, really nobody cares. And this took me so much time to, like, realize as well. I think, like, especially when we're younger, you just care so much more about, like, what people are thinking about you, how you look like, I remember I freaked out in high school because one of my friends had posted a picture of me where I didn't look my greatest, and to be honest, now looking back, I'm like, I looked great compared to now. And I think that's also, like, a fallacy with, like, most women I know where we're like, "Oh," like, you just feel insecure in every stage of your life, and then you look back and you're like, "Wait, that wasn't even like, I didn't even look that bad, like, that wasn't even that terrible." So, it's just crazy to me that we all care so much about, like, how the world perceives us, and it's like we spend so much money to try to, like, whether it's fix your hair, fix your nails, do your eyelashes, and it's all for someone else's view, right? Because most people I know, when they get home, especially girls who, get all dolled up outside, at home, like, if I'm not doing this live stream right now and I don't make any, like, videos, most of the time, I'm gonna have no false like, these falsies, these fake lashes that I have on, I'm not gonna be well, actually, I really like this. I really like my necklace, so I might wear my necklace, but a lot of times I won't even put on foundation. I won't put on, like, much makeup for myself. I'm just gonna chill and have my hair in a bun, not really care, and wear, like, sweatpants and a t-shirt. So, we're just constantly, like, putting on a show for each other. At least that's what I usually see, and I just hope that if you are watching this or you're listening to this, that if you can afford to do that, like, you can afford to buy all the nice things that you want in life, and it truly makes you happy to buy those nice things, not to just, like, impress other people, then I think you're winning. Like, if you are buying something, like you're buying a purse that you always wanted or you're buying a car that you've always dreamed of, and it, like, really makes you happy just for you, I think it makes sense. But if you're buying something purely because somebody else has it or you think you'll be happy when you get it, like, you'll feel better about yourself because maybe something else is missing, it's probably not gonna fix your problems. And I think at the end of the day, it matters more to have money in the bank. Again, not financial advice, entertainment purposes only, but I would highly advise to not spend all of your money on appearing a certain way in front of a bunch of people, or even if you're not trying to appear a certain way in front of other people, I personally don't think it's wise to blow a bunch of money and still have to get up and do work that you are not passionate about, because I don't think most people are passionate about, you know, flipping burgers. It's probably or washing dishes. I hate doing dishes. So, hopefully, if you are listening to this and you realize, like, okay, maybe sometimes I am spending money to impress other people, don't really care about me and the fancy things that I have, and you're financially not set, like, you are not financially independent, retired early, then maybe it's better off to save the money instead so that you don't have to worry about it when you're older, because I've seen that side and it is not pretty. There are many people I have met that are in my lives that are connected to me that have come into a lot of money, whether it's inheritance or through work or through their spouses. And it's pretty intense to see, like, just how many people, even when they're very lucky and fortunate and have a lot of money at a certain point in their lives, they don't save for a rainy day, and they're not thinking about their future older self, where you actually need it the most. And, like, I've actually known people who at one point in their lives had, like, hundreds of millions of dollars, and now, in 2025, less than $1,000,000 in the bank. Why? They also, like I said, cared a lot about what their friends thought, strangers, and when I say friends, that's, like, very fluffy because there are some people who consider someone that they met 3 weeks ago as, like, their best friend that they really cared to impress and throw parties for. Where are they now? Nowhere to be seen, and it's very sad, but that happens a lot. There's a thing called party friends that I learned. It's more of, like, a term, used a lot in, like, the Chinese culture where they're like, some friends are just party drinking friends. Party drinking Yeah, like, it's called, like, party drinking friends. So, you have some people in your lives that are not going to be there for you. They might be in your social media posts, but let's be real, even if you were, like, moving somewhere, like, you're gonna move from one state to another, will they throw you a goodbye party? Will they even be there to help you pack up? Possibly not, okay? I'm sure there's studies done on this, and I've probably seen an article somewhere where it's talked about that most people don't have that many close friends. Like, you are very lucky. I know I am very grateful. Like, one of the things I am most grateful for in my life, besides, like, finding the love of my life, my SO, and that's, like, my person, that's my safe place. I could tell him anything, and he's always there for me, is my close friends, which there's definitely less than 10 of. I'm talking best, best, best friends that I can count on. That's very special to me because I know that there are so many people who you can meet and everybody's kind, everyone's nice, and maybe they are, and maybe we could have been something. I have another episode on friendship that you can check out later, um, if you want to, but it's just very hard. It like any investment, a friendship and a relationship is also an investment, a very, very costly one because it costs time, money, energy, everything. To have a healthy long-term friendship. So I'm very, very grateful to have the friends that I have, even ones that, like, I don't have to talk to them every hour of every day. Maybe not even, like, a few times a month, and I'm there for them for the big stuff, and I know they're there for me for the big stuff. So, yeah, though there are people who will spend a lot of money and a lot of time, a lot of energy to impress people who don't really care about them, and I get it. It's all part of this, like it's almost like a sometimes I think we're all living in, like, this system in which we created for ourselves, and I don't know if this system could ever be changed, but it just seems like we're in the same chapter. It's like the whole world is under this spell, and it doesn't seem like we're gonna crawl out of it anytime soon, and I don't know where it begins because I haven't been around on this planet long enough to figure out where it started, like, all this trying to impress each other, but I'm gonna assume it started a long time ago, okay? Because even back in, like, the Egyptian times, um, the kings or the queens and Cleopatra, like, she obviously also cared about what other people thought, okay? She had a lot of well, back in the day, not even just the Egyptians, also, like, ancient Chinese or Japanese or Korean, um, India, like, everybody loves gold, right? Like, gold has been around for thousands of years that humans have used it originally as, like, a form of payment, trade, but also just, like, a way to, like, adorn themselves and give to each other or to their loved ones. So, that's not something like, if you're alone on this planet, you probably don't care, or maybe some people would, I don't know. A lot of the times, I just think about, like, "Oh, what do I actually care about if nobody was around?" Like, if no one was on this planet and I was just here by myself, like, do I care? Do I care about buying or people who, like, even have gold statues or jewelry? It's like, do you would you actually wear it? Who are you wearing it for? Or is it just for yourself? I think the answer for most people would be they probably wouldn't have a lot of things that they have today if we lived in a world where you're just by yourself. But then that's also just a terrible world. I wouldn't wanna live in a world where I'm just completely by myself. I think that's scary. I wouldn't want that. So maybe some things will just never change because of the system that we're just naturally in, right? This is not the zombie apocalypse, so we're constantly gonna be social, and most of the time we're gonna be seeing other folks, and therefore we care about what other people think. And even though I'm saying all of this, mostly as, like, my main point here at the end of the day is just if you can help it. And I know nobody is that zen. As much as I'm saying this, I still fall for, feeling jealousy when I see like a successful person who can afford it buy something really cute, a nice handbag or a giant mansion, looking like Barbie, has their nail done 100 times better than mine, and their hair and their makeup. When I see that, I'm like, "Oh, I want that." Right? And I think that that's just something that I don't know if it's just brainwashed into me or human nature to see something pretty and want all those nice flashy things. I can't tell, to be honest. I'm not sure if this is something I could ever truly change from, but I'm glad that at least I'm way more aware now of it all than when I was younger. I think when I was younger, it was just like, "Oh my gosh, I have to have all these things to be happy, and I just need to look this way, have this many friends, like, be this person, this check mark, check mark, check mark," and not ever really think about, "Okay, but do I actually enjoy these things? Do I even enjoy the presence of these people or going to this party?" If it didn't mean a certain status and whatnot. So I'm glad that it's like I'm more aware now, but at the same time, I'm not saying I'm not, like, after this episode, I hope you guys don't think I'm gonna not buy fancy things. I still will. I wish I was above that. I'm not, but the key here is to not overdo it, I believe. Like, don't overdo it to the point where you're broke because you decided to wear all your money. Like, that I think is my main point here, and I'm seeing that too often. I'm just seeing people have nicer bags that are worth more than what is currently in their bank, and that is regretful. Or even if they don't regret it right now, I can't imagine someone not regretting that in the future because I do know people that have already lived the lives. Because I know a lot of older people, and I know many stories through my parents' friends, friends of friends, friends of my friends that are older, and you just really do not want to end up in that position. And it's not like they knew that it was gonna happen to them. Nobody really knows when something bad, like, no one really knows when you're on a downward slope. We all are mainly optimistic, just like when people invest in a stock, you're hoping it goes up, right? It's like when you're doing maybe okay and you're paying your rent on time, you don't have much money saved and you're buying nice things and you're going out and you're having fun. I think a lot of people aren't thinking about themselves at like 70 years old, 80 years old, maybe completely alone or even with a family, but you're no longer financially capable and your inflation's so high. People are already complaining about inflation for like what feels like the last 4 years of my life. And that's like all you see in the news, no matter who's president. And can you imagine people not doing that in the year 2080? I have a feeling they still will. And those are the things that are out of our control. So I definitely think even though there's so much out of our control, you definitely wanna try your best and keep yourself afloat, better than afloat. I think every single person is responsible for themselves financially. Like, that's the least you could do for yourself. for a happy future, for a good life. And I'm not saying that if you come from maybe like a wealthy family, or maybe you married into a family that's really wealthy, that you're set necessarily either, because there are people who marry a spouse that's very wealthy, but then the spouse messes up and loses all their money. That happens all the time. What are you going to do then? Right? Like, you have to be able to, it doesn't matter if you're male or female or single or married. It's just like none of that matters. You have to be able to fend for yourself financially, and you definitely have to start prepping as early as you can. Like, these are the things that I probably will be telling my future children, if I have any, and to start prepping for when they're, like, under the age of 20. Like, my parents never really told me this. They did tell me, like, "Oh, saving money is good," basic stuff, but I probably would like to instill this into my child's mind, like, at a young age, that they have to be able to take care of themselves. Like, even though I am around, hopefully, um, I still want them to be able to be independent and make a good living for themselves. And I think when you do that and you are responsible, you commit to yourself, you save more money for your future, you're planning for your future. I definitely think that adds to a person's confidence, and it makes you love yourself more, and it just makes you treat yourself better in every aspect. Like, I think about how the moments in my life where I didn't save as much money, or I messed up financially, I felt irresponsible to my future, like, I just felt, like, very lost, but I wasn't really planning much for my future. I also wasn't as happy overall, and I also think that added to, like, my relationships too. Like, I felt like it's also, like, a sense of being not as good to myself, irresponsible, all of that subconsciously would, like, reflect into all my relationships, including romantic ones. I feel like can't if you can't commit to yourself, plan for your own future, it's like, what kind of relationship would you be in? There's a saying I heard recently from, like, a TikTok video that this girl was like, "The person that you choose is a direct reflection of how much you love yourself." And that is so true, because I'm sure you guys have seen relationships where you're like, "Why? Like, why is this girl with this guy that is just treating her like garbage?" But a lot of the times, if you get to know that girl, you realize, like, "Oh my gosh," like, her insecurity levels, like, everybody is a little insecure, but I've met people who just they view themselves as, like, below most other people, and then that makes sense, like, why they're okay with being treated badly. It's like when they're in a relationship where the guy doesn't respect her at all, where the guy doesn't treat her well, and I'm like, "I see it, I get it," because she doesn't even, like, value herself. So, yeah, I just hope that more people in the future, I'm sure the system that I'm talking about will continuously run. Fancy things will stay there. Luxury items will constantly be there. Probably even if one day people are on Mars, I still expect there to be an LV store, a Chanel store, or whatever. Lambos up in Mars if they can get it there. Or I don't know when humans will actually get there. We'll see. We'll see what Elon Musk does. Um, but yeah, think this system is already set, and I don't think luxury items are gonna go away anytime soon. And again, I'm not hating on it. I think it's fine that these things exist. It's like when you work hard and you wanna feel special about yourself, truly for yourself, and you wanna congratulate yourself, and you wanna buy a fancy watch. You want that $200,000 watch or whatever, and you can fully afford it, then do it. Like, there's no wrong in that, And if anything, it's good to have high quality items and also cheaper items for whatever different stage you are in life. And I'm sure it feels good. Like if let's say you worked really, really hard and at one point all my stuff is IKEA, by the way. But at one point in your life, maybe you had IKEA stuff. And then now you've upgraded. And now you've got, I don't know, I don't have fancy things. What is that brand that's really nice? Um, See, I can't even come up with it. West Elm? I think it's West Elm. Um, yeah. Now you've upgraded to, you know what? I have to look it up because I'm pretty sure I had a conversation with like friends or my brother too about, yeah, West Elm, where you could buy a cozy swivel chair for $594. I don't think I've ever actually walked into a West Elm furniture store or wherever that is. But those are expensive. Those are definitely more pricey than IKEA. I think there is nothing wrong with upgrading all the items in your life. And I do think like a nice piece of furniture does make a difference, like a really comfy couch or really nice mattress. Maybe it'll cost you thousands of dollars, but that will probably make a difference, or at least I hope it does. I do think nice things well made is worth it if you can afford it. That's the key here. So even though nice things are kind of like a trap because it causes so many millions and millions of people to spend the money that they don't have to try to get that item, and therefore a lot of the times feel, I'm not even sure if people are even happier, to be honest. Like, I think a lot of people are just pretending to be happy with those fancier things or almost getting other people to view them in a certain way to feel better about themselves, but possibly not being that happy. Because think about it. How could you possibly be happy if you are maxing out all your credit cards? You've got nothing in the bank, yet you have these items that you might have posted a few times on social media, or you take it out in front of your friends or your coworkers, and they're like, "Oh, this person," like, I just don't think it's enough for people to feel, if you don't have security and you don't have enough feeling of security through having money of your own, and all you have is the way that you think people perceive you, I just don't think it's enough. And the funniest thing here is people, like, I don't think these people who are wearing the nice things but have nothing in the bank or maybe unemployed and stuff, I don't think they know what most of us are truly thinking, because people aren't gonna say it to your face. Like, a lot of the times, it's only your family members, if you're lucky, to be honest, that will tell you straight up. Like, my family's pretty brutal with me, but I'm thankful for it. Like, they'll tell me when they think like, "Okay, my life, like, I don't have it together," or it's not doing well, and I may not agree with them every single time because sometimes I feel like they just don't understand certain things. Um, but I'm glad to get that perspective because I think a lot of the times people live their lives and everybody's like saying, "Yes, you're doing it right. You're doing great." And they're not willing to tell you what you're not doing good on because they're afraid of you being mad. Like a friend might just be afraid of you getting mad at them for telling the truth, or even your siblings might not actually tell you like, "Hey man, I think what you're doing is not the right way to go about life. Like, you're gonna regret this in the future." And again, I'm not saying every criticism is going to be correct because sometimes you are doing the right thing and nobody understands it. And later on they will. But other times you might actually just be going a completely wrong path and no one's telling you that you're making the wrong move. And that's very unfortunate to find certain things out like way too late. So, yeah. I hope that these true stories of people who, or I'm sure I don't wanna make it sound like all these different stories, like the dishwasher who worked 25 something years of his life and got to retire early and bought a place. I'm not saying that these people have no issues in their lives. Like, this guy that I'm talking about, on the surface at least, and the way I see it, he is more happy than someone who is struggling, forced to wake up at the age of 50 something, 60 something, to go to a job that they hate, to make minimum wage, to pay for rent. Like, I think most people would rather be the guy who worked as a dishwasher but is now set in life than the person who went for the Instagram story life that is fake. And then now they're still working very hard when they technically didn't need to be if they had invested right or worked hard and not wasted money on trying to look rich and actually just keeping the money. So then they had enough funds to retire. But with that being said, I feel like both these people, there are other things in life besides money, like your family, possibly children, places that you want to go travel to. There's other endeavors that you could have had to still add to your, like, overall happiness, and those are things that only they will know. But what I'm mentioning now definitely is also a huge factor in most people's future happiness that they may not be seeing in the current. So, thank you for listening. Again, this is my second channel, new channel, where I will just tell you about real life stories that I know of without saying people's names, um, or exposing them, and they'll probably never listen to this. But yeah, I wanna share things that are real and true, thoughts that I have, and maybe just stories that you may not know of. And hopefully you get something out of this video and these stories and apply it to your own life or start changing things in your life. I know I am still, like, with everything that I'm saying, I am still in the process of trying to do better and trying to, every time I feel like I'm falling for that headspace of caring too much about what other people think, caring too much, like, "Oh my gosh, what do they think about my hair? What do they think about, like, what I do for a living? Or what do they think about, um, how I do my makeup, how I talk?" Like, whenever I get too deep in the headspace of caring about what people think, that's where I'm like, oh, pull yourself out of it, because nobody cares that much about you. Like, more people care about themselves. Like, most people are doing exactly what I'm doing, but just in their own head. They don't care about me. They don't care about what I do. They don't care about what I look like or what I have, like, what books I read, what, like, purses I'm holding. I feel like everything that people usually think about is they probably will compare themselves to you, but that's about it. And they're still, at the end of the day, like, thinking about themselves. So, I think it just will save all of us a lot more time, stress, and money when we get out of that headspace of caring too much about what other people think, because they just most likely aren't thinking that much about you as you are about yourself. So, thank you so much. Take care, and please check out my other videos as well. This is the second channel, main channel link down below, and I'll see you guys next time.